What is going on, Petroheads? You are joining me once again with the Ninja 636 ZX6R. And in this episode, I think I want to conclude my entire week with this amazing motorcycle. Now, I've learned a lot of things about this motorcycle in the entire week that I've been on it. I've ridden it close to 500 miles in this entire week. I've done well over 7 or 8 videos with it, which should all come back to back. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, now is a great time to subscribe to the channel. This is not the last video in the series. There's a couple more coming, and the best is yet to come. But I've had an entire week with this motorcycle, and now I have a very, very good idea of where this motorcycle stands in terms of power, handling, speed, and comfort. So we're going to be talking about all that stuff today, and that's all to come. But all in all, I had a fantastic time with this motorcycle. To start out with, let's talk about the comfort, because this motorcycle is probably one of the most comfortable super sports I've ever ridden. Now, this seat here is 32.7 inches, and it is very, very comfortable. Some might agree, some might disagree, but considering that I've ridden in 2019 and 2020, actually the start of 2019 up until now, I've ridden probably about 25 different motorcycles. And let me tell you something, this seat, for being a stock seat, is superior in quality and comfort. It's kind of like a gel type of seat, and very, very comfortable. So aside from that, the ergonomics of this motorcycle is not all that aggressive. In its stock format, the handlebars are a little bit higher up than you would find in your traditional super sports. Like the R6 is going to be a lot more aggressive than this motorcycle, but the handlebars are a little bit higher up. So are the clip-ons, and it's closer to the rider. The rider has a lot of space, so you could be a really, really big guy and get all the way back of the tank, and you would literally be hugging this tank, and your helmet is going to be close to where this GoPro mount is, or maybe on it. So you can really get back there. You can really get into a seriously aggressive positioning if you take this motorcycle to the track. But I found myself all the way in front of the tank because I am a shorter stature person. So I found myself really close to the tank. But overall, riding this bike, I haven't been that tired, and I've ridden it a lot this week. And for me to say that this bike is super comfortable, I'm being extremely honest about that, because if you've watched my videos about my Panigale, I always talk about how uncomfortable that bike is. So in the comfort department, it definitely wins. Fuel tank on this is pretty big. Most bikes in this class have anywhere between a 3.5 to 4 gallon gas tank. Fuel tank on this is 4.3 gallons. Aside from that, the motorcycle weighs 430 pounds wet. So it's not really a huge bike, but it's not exactly a light bike either. But ironically, when you're riding this bike on the street and taking it on the twisties, it doesn't feel at all like it's 430 pounds. It's very, very light, very nimble, very tossable, as a 600 class bike should be. So now let's talk a little bit about the rider aids and electronics this motorcycle has. So this motorcycle has 2 power modes. The first power mode is F, and then you have L. F stands for full, L stands for low. And in full power mode, obviously you have full power, but in low power mode, you have the throttle response is dialed back a little bit, and you get 20% of the power, 20% less power than you get in full. Aside from that, it has 7 or 8 different levels of traction control, and of course it's got the quick up shifter. Moving along to this peach of an engine, 636cc, 4-cylinder, 16-valve, 130 horsepower to 135, depending on the time of day, the season, and the day of the week. Whoever you ask is going to tell you anywhere between 130 and 135. I'm sure you would agree that you don't need any more or any less than 130, and it's perfect for me. So 130, 135, that could be debated all day. It doesn't really matter. What Kawasaki did with this motorcycle is they separated themselves from the Yamaha R series. They gave it 37 additional cc's because the Yamaha has 599 and pretty similar torque and horsepower figures all around. Maybe about 10 horsepower less. But the R6 weighs a little bit less, so there's a trade-off. Aside from that, the transmission has a slipper clutch, which makes it very easy to ride on the track. Moving on to the suspension, you got a 41mm Showa inverted forks in the front, and in the rear you have a 25-way adjustable rebound damping and fully adjustable preload. Now, I was riding this bike over here, and I've been riding for the entire week, and man, I gotta tell you, this bike is super comfortable, even though it is dialed in to its most extreme setting, because Mike has it dialed down to his weight and his stature. But I'm nowhere near Mike's weight level. But this bike, even though it is at the most extreme setting, I found it to be pretty comfortable, and I never once got home and felt like my back was going to give out on me. Tires are pretty standard for a SuperSport in a 600 class series. You got a 120 in the front, and you got a one big fat 180 in the back. And the brakes, you got 4 piston calipers in the front, and you got a single piston caliper in the rear. Alright, so enough talking. Let's get on this bike and take it for a little spin and talk a little bit more about it. She sounds freaking amazing, man. So, this is my friend's motorcycle. If you've seen the other videos, you know by now. But here's the thing, my channel unfortunately doesn't have a lot of Japanese bikes. So if you're in SoCal, anywhere between here and LA, and you're willing to loan out your bike for a few hours so I can do a review of it, I'm looking for Japanese bikes. So things like an R6, R1M, if you have a ZX10, you know, any kind of Japanese bike would be well appreciated. Leave a comment down below, and I'll also include my email. Send me an email. You can also connect with me on Instagram. I'd love to review your bike. Let me know what you got, and let's get you and the motorcycle on the channel if you're interested. Man, where do I even begin? This entire week, man, I've been rolling thunder, and it's been a lot of fun. Me and this bike almost have been in a journey together. So what can I say? The Kawasaki ZX6R is an underrated gem that does not really get that much attention. But I want to change all that, hopefully, with this video, because, man, it is a peach of an engine this bike has, and it is a wonderful motorcycle for day-to-day use. I honestly think that leader bikes are way overrated, and motorcycles like this are considered beginner bikes, which is completely out of this world. I think that leader bikes have way too much power for the street. Now, unless you're a person who has one of these motorcycles, tracks it all the time, and you got a gigantic track where you live, and it's just not enough power for you because you've outgrown this bike. And it really does happen. People outgrow these 600 motorcycles at big tracks. If that's you, I completely understand. But for us mere mortals who are just amateurs going to track days maybe 2-3 times a year, this bike has a lot to offer. And I've been putting it through the ringer this entire week. I've been riding a whole lot. I've been taking it through nice curvy roads, and it's handled very well. I would love to take this bike on the track. Hopefully next time Mike takes us to the track, I can join him and we can swap bikes for you guys, and I'll show you what this bike can do on the track, and then maybe you'll have a second opinion if you're one of the guys who thinks this just does not have enough power and you need that leader bike. Well, I invite you to come and test this bike out for yourself. Not this very bike. I don't know if Mike's going to allow anyone to ride it. But I think there might be a few days per year where Kawasaki's doing demo days, so I invite you to go check it out. It sounds fantastic with the Yoshi pipe. If you haven't seen the videos that I've put out with this bike already, I did my first video where I picked up the motorcycle. Just earlier today, I released a Roadster versus SuperSport video, which I think is pretty interesting. You should check that one out. And I have my first video, which is about how is it for daily use. Now, this video kind of summarizes my entire week with this motorcycle. And I gotta say, riding this motorcycle has given me a huge appreciation for the 600 class motorcycles, which up until today I really didn't have a lot of experience with. Up until today, I've been riding gigantic Panigales that have over 200 horsepower. I've been riding my 959 Corsa that has 150 horsepower. I've been riding anything above 130, and I've gotten pretty much used to that kind of power up until today. Man, I love the sound of this bike. It sounds glorious. Oh, at 16,000 RPM, amazing. Listen to these upshift lifts. Oh my God. So yeah, like I was saying, I've been used to, I've been very used to riding these impractical 150 to 200 horsepower motorcycles that are really meant for the racetrack and not so much for the street. But riding this motorcycle has given me a brand new perspective on what's appropriate for me and for the street. And I think a 600 class motorcycle is just an all-around perfectly fun bike to ride. It doesn't make me feel like I need any more. It doesn't make me feel like I need any less. Oh man, I'm gonna miss this bike. I'm gonna miss 16,000 RPMs. I gotta get this in my life somehow, some way. I have got to get this bike back in my life. So this bike has given me a whole new perspective on sport bikes for the street, and I think it's a great class of motorcycle that has just enough power for what I need. And I really don't think that anything else beyond this is necessary, because it's power that is usable power. Now I can go through the gears from 1 all the way to 5, and I can go wide open throttle if it's a track situation. And I think this bike has hit the sweet spot with that. Aside from that, the price point for this motorcycle doesn't really break the bank either, because you can pick this bike up at a pretty comparable price of about $8,000–9,000 if you work a nice deal with the dealership. But it's not going to break the bank, and it's an all-around wonderful motorcycle to ride. Pretty comfortable, great power, everything that I mentioned already. Rollin', rollin', rollin'. We got one in the back, we got 2 in the front. Rolling thunder. And I think that pretty much wraps up this entire review. There's really nothing else to be said about this motorcycle that I haven't already said. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is an underrated gem, and it deserves a lot more attention. And for the street, it is just more than enough. And I don't think you or I need anything more than this. Alright, well there you have it. A combination of everything that I've been talking about this entire week, with the last thing I want to mention about this motorcycle is that it's been a teacher for me. It's been a teacher for me because it has taught me that the 600 class motorcycles are just an amazing class of motorcycle, and now I want one for myself. Send me a message on Instagram or write down in the comment section if you live anywhere between here and OC and Los Angeles. I'd love to come down to you and review your bike on the channel, and maybe feature you on the channel if you feel like it. So that's been pretty much it for this entire series. I hope you enjoyed this entire series. There's maybe a few more videos coming along. I haven't really edited anything out, and if you enjoyed this video, why wouldn't you like this video and subscribe to the channel? So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is the end, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye bye, and stay safe out there.